I'm Kaylin, and I am co-founder of the Golden Flow system of accelerated well-being and abundance. So you can call me your abundance coach. This is my buddy Oberon, who always joins me in my videos. And I always ask him to, let me get a word in edgewise, but he has some great questions and always reminds me of things like to ask you to subscribe. So I just love having him here. And on top of that, sometimes Oberon brings a friend, which is really great. In this video, I wanted to talk to you about being in the flow. Because when we're in the flow, we're in the zone, we're in the place where everything's working out, and certainly where we're feeling better, we're having higher vibrating thoughts, we're doing higher vibrating things, and law of attraction is responding to that energy. Thus, law of attraction is bringing us even better experiences, more of what we prefer. That's what it's like to be in the flow. Being out of the flow means that we're not having a great day, we're hitting all the red lights. It's like if something could go wrong, it will kind of thing. It's that place where you go, well, nothing else could go wrong now. It's like everything's already broken, everything already fell apart, and then something else does. That's really the place of being out of the flow. Your energy's off and you're attracting more offness, you could say. So one thing that I think is a great topic is how to get in the flow. Because here's a secret that you may not know about the flow. Being in the flow for Oberon is different than it is for me, than it would be even for our orchid here. In other words, being in the flow is different for everyone because we're all unique. We all have our own soul signature. We all have our own identity at a soul level that's different than everyone else's. So what is in the flow, what's right for me, what's going to make me feel good, totally different than Oberon. Now that's kind of obvious, right? Because I went to Chipotle for lunch and I had a great bowl, steak bowl. But Oberon here, that's not his idea of lunch. Being invited to lunch with me and having to go to Chipotle would probably be out of the flow for my buddy here. My buddy wants to go fly around the neighborhood and find some mice. That's in the flow for him, both because he'd be flying and because he'd be finding mice. Now, if I could fly, that would be awesome, but I don't really want to go find mice. I don't want to see mice. I really like my mouse-free life. As a matter of fact, you could probably see my cat, who one of his jobs is to make sure that I have a mouse-free life. So that would be out of the flow for me. So to get a sense, I'm kind of having fun here and giving you a kind of crazy example, but it can really serve to help you get a good sense of the difference. You see, it's in his flow to join us. This is Peppermint, and he knows how to ask for pets and be pesky and stuff like that. So I guess he's joining us in my video today. He snuck into the studio and voila, here you have it. So this is perfect though, because what I wanted to talk to you about is being in the flow. Now, my Golden Flow system has a very easy, simple 3-step process to get you in the flow. And for that, you, number 1, welcome whatever you're experiencing. Number 2, you allow it, embrace it, or experience it. So, for example, if I was going to get in the flow about my experience right now, I would welcome the fact that my cat jumped on my lap, that he is completely rude and doesn't care that I'm doing a video, that he's like jumping in. And instead of being annoyed, instead of trying to shoo him off or something, I welcomed it. Like, okay, here you are. You've never done this to me before, and I have many videos, but here you are. And then, number 2, how do I feel about that? Well, I feel fine. I don't care. It's like the more the merrier. Oberon may not like it, because Oberon's a little small, and in the past, when we lived in New Mexico, we've had owls take our cats, when they went outdoors. So Oberon might feel like this is revenge and that this bigger cat might hurt him. But clearly, right now, this cat's very happy and I don't think he's going to be pesky with Oberon. But so that's step 2. You feel what it makes you feel, or you allow what it makes you feel, or you embrace it. You really be with that. You really feel it. So I feel fine. I feel kind of loved, it's like, come sit on my lap, get some pets, sure. I feel kind of loved. And then step 3, you let it flow. You completely let it go and you focus wherever it is that you need to focus. Now, that is a very simple 3-step process, and hopefully now you can do it. And if not, watch some other videos, I talk about it some more, or hop on over to my website and you can get a process to help you. Because when you're in the flow, everything shifts and changes, and it's amazing. I have always gotten positive feedback about our golden flow processes. They've really helped people, whether it is improve and attract relationship or business or, all sorts of things. So help your life feel better. Get yourself in the flow. I've already given you the 3 steps, or get yourself a process. Now, what I'm trying to get to, if there will be no more cat distractions, Oberon's reminding me, he's like, let's get to the point. So the point is, one of the ways to stay in the flow is to be you. And I say that because one of the things that happens is that people can easily lose sight of what it means to be themselves, lose sight of what's going to make them happy, what's meaningful to them, that kind of thing. So, for example, one of my favorite stories is that when I was pregnant and I was expecting, I actually went out of my way to not read books on what to expect. There's a real famous book, and I didn't go there. Why? Because that was information that, I understand it has served a lot of people, and I think that's fantastic. But it was information written by an author and based on that author's experience. It wasn't me, and it wasn't based on my experience. I'm pretty connected to myself because I have spent a lot of my life dedicating myself to getting, you can say, into my flow, both on my personal path and my spiritual path. So I'm pretty connected to myself. And so it was really important for me to know what was right for me, to really recognize that, women have gotten pregnant for a long time and they have figured it out. And therefore there must be a lot of natural either instinct or innate knowledge, about how to raise your baby and how to make sure that you're doing it right. And so on the one hand, I could have taken an attitude that I could read the book and glean some benefits and have them help me, and I certainly could have. But at the time, that's just not the path I wanted to take. Now, that's not as relevant as this is. I want you to get a sense that you know what's right for you. You know you hopefully know your desires, and if not, this is part of what is so important to get in touch with in yourself. Because when you know what's right for you, you know what your desires are, well, that changes everything. Because then you can also look at some other things and figure out whether or not they're right for you. For example, like I can usually look at a restaurant from the outside, or sometimes the name, or some of the description online, and I can know whether or not I'm really going to like it. I do that with a lot of things in my life. I can get a good sense as to whether it's in the flow for me or out of the flow for me. And the point is, my ability to look at myself and know is what's so important. That's what you're really after. Because when you're after that, you're not going to have to get yourself in the flow as often. You'll naturally get yourself in the flow. You won't have to stop and get in the flow. Stopping and getting in the flow you can do pretty quickly. But when you get to the point to where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to read the book. I'm going to tune into me. I'm going to see what's right for me at the right time. I can't possibly know what's going to happen 6 months into my baby's life, so how can I prepare for that? Instead, I'm going to be with me. I'm going to know who I am. I'm going to be in the flow and make the best choices from the flow. Because when you're in the flow, everything's always working out for you, kind of thing. So get yourself in the flow and do it with your 3 steps, but then also do it by making sure that you're making choices for yourself. Just because everyone else in the world, I don't know, likes a certain candy bar doesn't mean that you do, Stop and look and see. What do I like? What do I prefer? I see. I think someone is telling me that my time is up here. So, like I said, get to know who you are, get to know what you prefer. Get to know what works for you so that you know how to stay in the flow. When you stay in the flow, life is so much sweeter. You enjoy a lot more of the richness of life. Because then it's not just about having money, which is a great thing, but it's about having great meaning in your life, great purpose and great fulfillment, being happy, feeling joyous, feeling like you're doing what you're meant to do, feeling like you're being who you're meant to be. And that just can't be topped. And that is really what being in the flow is all about. Oberon, thanks for joining me. And now Oberon wants to remind you to be sure to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. so that you can get your claws in us and so that you can find out when the next video is going to be. Oberon also wants me to remind you that you can also join our email list if you want to hear more from Oberon, so that you can find out about our next workshop, about a popular video, about some other processes, and anything like that to help you get in the flow. Thank you so much for joining me, Oberon, and I guess I will thank Peppermint for getting me filled with hair and for joining me and making me feel loved as I created this video for you.